It's been 3 days of talks at the first in-person Africa Free Continental Trade Areas Business Forum taking place at the Cape Town International Convention Centre. There were targets that were set out and there were role players that converged here, talking about 1,200 of those role players that have been engaged in talks. Here we're talking about different sectors of the economy on the African continent that has been zoomed into to ensure that there's movement there, talking about agro-processing, talking about also including the private sector, pharmaceutical space as well, and ensure that there's industrialization and a move where the African economies are concerned. So I'm going to bring into the conversation now Mr. Prudence Sebahizi. He's coming through, of course, from the Secretariat. You guys are our host, and I just want you to reflect with me in terms of how things have been in the past 3 days. We know very well that you had targets. Have those targets been met? Are we anywhere near just realizing this one market for Africa? Welcome to the SABC.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Let me just start by saying that this AfCFTA Business Forum is the first of its kind. It's the first of its kind after the conclusion of AfCFTA negotiations, and we have entered a phase, a very critical phase of implementation. And that phase of implementation, when we talk about implementation, is about trading within Africa. And who trade is private sector, because negotiations are done by government officials, but trade happens when private sector, when producers are producing products, put them to the market, and then sell them to the buyers. So this AfCFTA forum has two objectives. The first one is to create awareness about the rules of the AfCFTA, which we are doing through different sessions that you have seen. Then the second objective is to make businesses where people meet, they interact, they exchange contacts, and they see what potential opportunities that are there. What am I going to sell? If I'm in South Africa, what am I going to sell to Ghana? What am I going to sell to Egypt or Ethiopia? So business people from all over the continent are here just to do that networking, to understand what they produce and what they consume, and then do business deals amongst themselves, but also understand the rules of the AfCFTA market.
Let's reflect also on the talks. We know very well that often, people would have an impression that would have institutions like this and meetings and engagements, but we don't see them really materializing, and some of those discussions are finding meaning on the ground. This engagement here, are we moving away? We're supposed to be moving, and are we expected to, at least in the coming future, see change around the space?
Yeah, definitely. And what I appreciate here, if you have watched people who are on the panel, most of them are practitioners, are business people themselves. So we are not listening to the government officials, we are listening to the practitioners in private sector who are sharing their experiences. And some of them have gone through challenges in the past because of lack of transparency in the rules, or because of lack of rules themselves that regulate trade. So now what we see as a potential for this business forum, once you have created that awareness, once you have shared that experience across the continent, and then you expect the AfCFTA rules to be effective, we are now seeing potential for increase in intra-African trade as a result of these talks. So as I told you, it's not only talks, there are business-to-business contacts that are happening outside the talk show. There are interactions, there are networking, there I can say people are making deals. Maybe next time we even have to invite people from all over the continent to do the exhibition of their products.
Most definitely. So let us in as to where to from here. We know very well that you have ambitions, you have targets, and this was one of the main events for this year. So let us in on where to from here, where the Secretariat is concerned.
First of all, this has to happen every year. This business forum has to happen every year. We have a number of initiatives that can show us what is happening. We have what we call a guided trade initiative, where we monitor the actual trade within the AfCFTA. We facilitate actual trade within the AfCFTA. We identify companies from different parts of Africa and then we identify their potential markets. Then products will be shipped from one country to the other